Mino Lion Media presents Business First.
Hi all, and welcome to a new episode of Business First with Sonia Aline. I am your host, and today we are going to talk about insurance, and we're going to talk about it in a unique way. One of the earlier podcasts, we did have someone, one of our guests talked about how you could use insurance as a wealth building tool. And that's become fascinating to me because growing up in my community, insurance was always kind of like a safety net. You needed it in case of illness, in case of death, but we were never taught how to use this as a wealth building tool. And so our guest today is actually going to talk about it in two facets. One, as a retirement facet, a retirement option, and why as a business owner you should be thinking about retirement right now and what you can do to make sure that you retire comfortably. And the second part is to consider this insurance business as a business opportunity on its own. And so our guest today is Todd Ford, who is the head of Executive Retirement Solutions. Welcome, Todd.
How you doing, Sonia?
Good to see you. And I should tell you all that Todd is actually talking to us from the Dominican Republic. And he relocated there not too long ago. And so that's the other good thing about this business that you're going to share with us is that it's something that you can do anywhere in the world. But before we get into insurance and why the audience today should be interested in the things that you're going to talk about. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you came from, where you come from, and how you actually started this business for you, and what your experiences have been.
Great. So I'm from Pasadena. That's where I was raised at, and through my parents. And my father was an engineer. My mother was a homemaker and all that kind of thing. And when I realized that in this insurance industry, well, back when I was younger, let me go backwards. I was that type of person, Sonia, that after I got out of high school, and all that kind of thing, I was that type of person that I could not see myself working a job for the rest of my life. All right. So my first experience on the job was JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. I got involved. I started working with them April 21st, 1981. Okay, that was my mother got me that job. All right, I wasn't even trying to get a job too much, but my mother got me the job. I'm 19, 20 years old. Here's what I found out about jobs. I didn't like them. Okay, that's what I found out about a job. They want you to work 40 hours a week, and I kept thinking 8 hours a day. That's the whole day. That was my attitude, right? I mean, by the time you get off work, it's nighttime. So. And everybody I knew that had a job. So I knew when I was 19, 20 years old, and guys were 20 years older than me, Sonia, they were broke. Yeah. Now, so first of all, I'm looking into the future. I'm looking at them, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, this road is not a good one for me. So I knew that I wanted to do my own thing. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I got involved in the insurance business, went to some meeting. My brother invited me to a meeting in 1985, 84, or something like that. Didn't even know what the meeting was. Okay. He just told me he met some guy, went to this meeting, and all I know is everybody was excited and all that kind of thing, jumping up and down in this meeting. And when I got out the meeting, Sonia, I asked my brother, so what do they do? I have no idea. I'm excited, but I don't have no idea what we're doing. And he said, I think we're going to be selling insurance. And at that time I said, are you crazy? Insurance? Who buys insurance? All right. So yeah. I got involved in the business because here's what I was looking for, Sonia. I wanted freedom. All right. So remember, I was sharing with you. I said, here's how much I wanted freedom. If this was slavery time, you remember Kunta Kinte? They cut off one foot. Remember that, right?
Yes.
Then they had to cut off two of my feet. All right. And then I would have been still trying to crawl out of there. That's how much I wanted freedom. So I got involved in the business only because I wanted freedom. I thought this was a way out. So I did it on a part-time basis and was able to quit my job August 3rd, 1990. That was the last time I worked a job, all right? And when I first got in the insurance business, I wasn't that serious about it, and I kind of got in and got out. But once I knew that I wanted out, I want to do my own thing, make my own money, I got serious about it. August 3rd, 1990 was my last time on the job. Now, but since then, the insurance industry has evolved so much. So let's talk about retirement planning, the biggest challenge America's having today. And over the last 20 years, I've been specializing in one strategy, a plan that you will never outlive. So what's going on with America is we're living longer than we've ever lived before because of health advancements. All right. So now, if you make it to 65 years old, you can expect to live for 25 to 28 more years. You can expect it. All right. So I always tell people this: the good old days of dropping dead is over. All right. So here's why I'm saying that. Those were the good old days. 50 years ago, you didn't have to worry about retirement. You were going to die. All right. So you didn't have to worry about that. Now you can die, Sonia, and they will bring you back to life because of health advances.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. And I remember one time somebody told me, man, they brought this person back to life. They said it was a miracle. I said, no, it was a defibrillator. All right. That's technology to bring you back to life. All right. So now, most people, when it comes to retirement planning, they have what's called a 401k. They're doing traditional things. Those are all tax-deferred products. So if you ask yourself this, do you believe over the next 20 years, the income tax rate will be lower, the same, or higher? Most people would say it's going to be higher. So guess what that means? That means all that money you've been tax deferring in your 401k, right? And now it's time for you to want to stop working. Sometimes you have to stop working whether you want to or not, because they will fire you. I always say this to people: fire your job before they fire you, all right? Because everybody's going to get fired one day. Now, imagine this. Imagine if you had $1 million in your 401k, but the tax rate happened to be 50%. See, nobody's talking about the tax rate. When it comes to 401ks, everybody's talking about that stock market, but nobody's talking about what is the tax rate going to be. So imagine this. 20 years from today, you got $1 million in your 401k, but the tax rate happened to be 50%. That means 50% of that money belongs to Uncle Sam. All right? Now, the average person is not going to have $1 million in their 401k. The average person has less than $200,000 in their 401k that they expect that they want to last them for the rest of their life. So I want to have a 401k conversation with people and talk about an alternative to that you can use for retirement purpose. Is a max funded insurance contract. They're designed to be pension plans. And these programs are not new. They've been around for over 50, 60 years, but they were wealth strategies. Mostly wealthy people have been involved in these programs, but anybody can participate. So what I do is I show people, I did a plan for a client today. And this client was a nurse. And this client, I asked, she was 45 years old. And she told me she wanted to work for 20 more years. The question I asked her is, 20 years from today, when you're 65 years old, what would you like your income check to look like every month for the rest of your life? She said she would like to have a $5,000 a month check. I designed that program for her. She'll never lose any money. She'll get some of the gains of the stock market. But the biggest thing is she'll get a check for the rest of her life that's also tax-free. And that's what I've been specializing in for 20 years. So people are not thinking about retirement. They're 45 years old, 50 years old, and not thinking about 15, 20 years from today. And that's almost normal today. They're not thinking about it. But one day, believe me, you're going to be there. You're going to be 50, 60, 70 years old, and your job's not going to want you anymore. And yet, you're still going to want a check for the rest of your life. So if you do not design that check, if you don't know what your check is going to look like, that means you might not even be getting a check for the rest of your life.
Right. And so, a lot of our listeners are maybe business owners or people who are transitioning from work. And I think that once you get into a business, it takes a lot of money to be able to build a business, to run it and develop it. But what you're saying as well, and we had some conversations offline, is that even if you are running your business, you do need to think about like what the end is going to look back like, whether you're going to, and we all hope that our businesses are going to be successful and can maintain us for the rest of our time here. But this, and what I find fascinating about this conversation and the conversation we had with Reggie is that in our communities, we are never taught about insurance as a wealth building opportunity. It's always a safety net. And so do you find it that it's difficult to even sell these policies to people of color because, it almost sounds like it's too good to be true. How are you telling me that getting insurance can be better than my 401k? Getting insurance can be better than my pension plan, particularly if I already have one. Getting insurance is just, when we think about insurance companies, we think about them as big rip-off arms. collecting money that they never ever pay off on. But you're saying that we need to look at them a little differently.
Yes, I'm saying that. And I'm saying that they need to be educated. That's all it is. And when you sit down with someone and you educate them and show them numbers and show them what your 401k is going to look like when you retire, what this plan, what our strategy could look like when you retire. See, most people, what it is they just have been educated. They just don't know. So all I'm doing is I'm saying, let's bring the information to you. Now we can do it via Zoom now. So this is the easiest time to sit down and just go to your computer and see what we do. So, but most people, when it comes to retirement, they just don't think about it, Sonia. They don't think about retirement planning, or they think about insurance as just a death benefit. Now, our programs are really designed to last the rest of your life. It's not about dying, it's about living. And I always say this, Sonia, dying is overrated anyway. You're not going to die today. It's overrated. You're going to die somewhere way down the road, right? You're going to die one day, but the problem is you're going to live first. And all we're doing is saying, if you believe you're going to live a long time, we can structure a strategy for you that you'll never outlast. And we just want to compare it to your 401k. That's why I would say, let's have a 401k conversation first. Yeah. Let's find out what you want your 401k to do for you. Let's talk about the taxes. How much is going to be your portion the day you retire? Most people have no clue on that.
Yeah. Because most people will tell you that they have a 401k. Most people will tell you that they've maxed it out.
Yes.
But you're right. No, most people don't really understand how it's going to function on the day that they retire. What's also interesting is, and I had mentioned this in a show earlier, the fastest growing demographic today is people over 90.
Yes.
Which is even hard to fathom. So at 90, my mom is 91 years old, and she's still, before COVID, she was going to the YMCA every day to swim. She has all of her faculties. She was going to church regularly. She has a social life. So, to your point, it's not like you're going to be older and, in a nursing home. For a lot of people, they're still going to be carrying on an active life because we understand more people are exercising, more people are eating better. And like you said, the medical advances are keeping us alive longer. Is it difficult today to get people who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s to understand the importance of preparing for life after you're working?
No, not really. They're professionals. And if they care about the future, so it's on an individual basis. Some people don't care. Some people do care. So, but my target market are people 35 years old. Here's why. 35 years old, now you're mature enough. You've been out here long enough. You got fired off of a job or something like that. You might have a family also. Now, this is the time to look at the future. And at 35 years old, you still got a lot of time left. You really are working with 30 years. But here's what I'm finding. I'm finding a lot of people that's 35 years old, they don't want to work to 65 years old. So they think that's old, okay? Yeah. Here's what they don't know. If you don't have a plan, you are going to be working to 65 years old or longer. Most people are going to work for the rest of their life till they drop dead. That's what most people, because they don't have a plan. So to give an example, we were talking about business owners. I remember about 20 years ago in Palm Springs, I met this business owner, had a thriving restaurant, right? It was packed all the time. I presented our program to him as a retirement vehicle. He said, "Oh, Todd, I don't need that. You see, I got a thriving restaurant." He said, "I'll sell it one day or whatever." That was his exit strategy. Right. Guess what happened, Sonia? He went out of business. 2008 happened for him. Went out of business, no strategy, no selling the restaurant because it's out of business now, right? But here's what I presented to him. I said, what if you diversify, have a strategy? I know your business is doing good, but what if you put away a couple $1,000 a month, $3,000 a month, because he was in that
he was in that bracket. Yeah.
In that bracket, just to diversify and have your extra strategy. So no matter what, I presented a plan to him, Sonia. If he'd got involved in that plan, he was 35 at that time. If he'd got involved in that plan at 55 years old, that plan would have been giving him $15,000 a month for the rest of his life, tax-free. He did not want to go, his business was doing great. He did not want to get involved in it. But so what I share with people, if your business is doing great, whatever you're doing, nothing is guaranteed out here. You should diversify. And with our program, it's no risk. The money's available when you need it, okay? And if you design your plan to give you a check at 55 to 65 years old, the money's gonna be there waiting for you when you retire or whatever that day is that you want to stop working and do your own thing. Okay.
So the people understand. I'd like you to explain why this is tax-free money that people can actually collect when they decide to collect on this plan.
Well, imagine a plan that you can contribute as much money as you want, and when it comes time to getting the money out, the tax holders involved in this plan will allow you to take out a collateralized loan against the plan. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to continue to let your money grow, and you're going to actually be living off of the insurance company's money in the form of a loan. All loans are tax-free in America. Mortgage loans are tax-free. Car loans are tax-free. So the strategy is to let your money grow and use the insurance company's money. And because it's an insurance product that's a death benefit involved, it's actually going to sell the day you die. So let's say you died at 90 years old. They're going to settle up your death benefit, settle up your loans at the time of death. That means all the loans were tax-free and your death benefit was tax-free. So it's a different strategy that most people are not familiar with, but it was designed by a big company, long time ago, but it was designed for wealthy people.
All right.
So the average person, Sonia, will not get this information. They'll get the traditional information like 401ks and IRAs.
Right. And so I'm old enough to remember the company that created the strategy, E.F. Hutton. And I remember as a kid hearing the commercials, when E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen, or everyone listens. I can't remember the exact phrase. But that's why people were listening, because they had created this wealth building strategy that the wealthy at that time were using.
Exactly. Well, I don't know if he was talking to us or we weren't listening, but we did not get the information. Okay.
Right.
We got traditional stuff. So the government, if you look at all the commercials out here, the government, you always see 401k commercials, right?
Right.
All the time. You do not see commercials about what I'm talking about because the government is not advertising tax-free stuff. It's just not going to do it. So when the company E.F. Hutton designed this back in the late 70s, early 80s, it was designed for wealthy people. It was a strategy where you put as much money as you want, no losses, no taxes. And what do wealthy people not want to pay, Sonia?
They do not want to pay taxes.
They do not want to pay taxes.
And they have created all sorts of structures and financial tools so that they don't have to pay taxes.
Exactly. But guess what information middle America gets? We get all the tax deferred stuff. And we think we're getting this big break. Well, the break you're getting today, they're going to take it all back.
You're going to take it back, at some point. Right.
At some point. Okay. Right. So mathematically, if you're concerned about having a check to live off of, we don't believe in deferring taxes because of the uncertainty of what the tax rate is going to look like 20 years from today.
All right.
Okay. Yes.
So the other part of your business too is you actually teach this as an opportunity for people to be able to sell. So if they wanted to create a line of business for themselves or a way to bring in additional income, you could also, you have a course where you could or a coaching program where you could teach people how to get licensed to be a insurance broker and actually how to set up their own business. So talk to us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. So if a person wants to work part-time, you start part-time and learn our business, we get you licensed and trained. I've been training people and teaching this for 20 years. I've been teaching people. Matter of fact, a young lady, last year, one of the young ladies on my team, part-time made $120,000 last year, part-time, okay? Another guy on my team, not about 20 people on my team, but our average person making about $30,000 to $40,000 a year on a part-time basis. We get you licensed. We get you trained. I totally teach you this. We have a team meeting every other Saturday to educate you on this program, on these strategies. And guess what, Sonia? The market is so big because most people have no clue about what we do, about the strategy. So I give them all the evidence behind it, who talks about it, and all that kind of thing. So if a person right now is looking for an opportunity, and what I like about this business, Sonia, is because I can work remotely now. Right. The best thing that happened. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. When the pandemic first started, I panicked because before we would see people in their homes, right? We would go to their office. So imagine now, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, Now we're not going to go to the home. They said, do not go to people's homes anymore. I'm thinking I'm out of business. I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do? But guess what happened? This computer thing happened. This Zoom thing happened. That changed everything for us. So now that's why I moved here to the Dominican Republic. I've been coming back and forth here for probably about 8 years. I love the freedom. I'm looking at the ocean right now. This business allows you to do whatever you want to. Now our business has expanded now because of the Zoom, because working virtually. Now we have clients in New York. Now we have clients in Arizona, wherever someone has internet and wants this information. So if a person is looking for a part-time or full-time opportunity where you can make $5,000, $10,000 a month, I have a saying in my company called worklessandmakemore.com. So I can show you how to work less than 20 hours per week and make more than $20,000 per month. And that is not hype. That is real if you put the work in. But your market is there. If you're looking for an opportunity, I can personally teach you how to do this business. Now, it's not a get rich quick though. So it's not a get rich quick. It's a career. It's an opportunity. It's your own personal business. That kind of thing.
Right.
Okay.
What are some of the, when you, because, I imagine that a lot of people have the same response. I have been, like I said, we had done an interview not too long ago where another gentleman was saying that, in a lot of other communities, they understand it. And so they literally come in and they will ask for specific insurance because they understand how it's going to be used to create wealth for their families. When you start to explain this tool, like what are some of the responses that people, what are some of the responses that you get from folks who are just now becoming enlightened about how to use this insurance tool differently?
Well, one of the things you said sounds too good to be true. That's the biggest thing. Imagine a program. You don't lose any money and you don't pay any taxes and you get a check for the rest of your life. That does sound too good to be true. Yeah. But what I have is I bring all the evidence behind it, where it came from. This is not new. These are done by all insurance companies. Most insurance companies have a product like this.
Right.
But if no one's talking to you about it, then you just won't get the information. So it's all in educating people and bringing and giving them the evidence. So it's so funny. I work with a lot of attorneys as well. This one attorney client said to me, Todd, I don't believe in nothing. It sounds too good to be true to me. You talking about tax free. I can't lose any money, get a check for the rest of my life, better than my 401k. He says, you better bring me all the evidence behind this. And that's what I did. I said, so when I educate people, I said, well, here's where it came from. Here's the date. Here's the information. So when you have all the information, here's the tax code, okay, that goes with this. I'm sorry the government did not send you the memo on this, but here it is, all right? And this is how it works.
Right. So, and I'm glad you said that because, for people who are listening, I want them to visit your website. It'd be great if they could reach out to you, but please do your research and look up retirement insurance, look up the tax code, at the IRS to see all the details because it is all there. And there's so much about, financing and wealth building and finding these opportunities that we have not been privy to. And I'm always grateful when someone can come on and share that information with our listeners. So tell folks where they can find you and how they can reach you.
They can. Well, I'm gonna give out my phone number, 562-212-5369. They can call me. They can text me. My website is executive-retirementsolutions.com. That's and you can go on there. There's testimonials on that website. I have another website called worklessandmakemore.com. If you're looking for an opportunity to make some money, to learn in another industry that's never going anywhere. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to learn something different, something new, this is a program right now, Sonia, that it's going to always be here. It's inflation proof. Thank God. Okay. I've been doing this for over 30 years in this industry. And I thank God that I stuck with it and I learned it and never have to worry about a job ever again in my life. I can live where I want to live in the world now. And I appreciate that. I'm thankful for that opportunity.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, Todd. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of this information and your experience and your background. And we look forward to hearing more about this. And hopefully people will reach out to you. And even if they don't reach out to you, to do the research and see what's out there so that you can start to prepare for you and your family. Thank you so much.
Exactly. And no problem. I tell people this is what they should research. Research your own 401k. Take a real good look at that and ask yourself, what is this going to look like 20 years from today? What is the tax rate going to look like? That's what they should be researching, what they're currently doing right now.
You all heard it. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Sonia.
Okay. All righty.
See you soon.
Take care.
The Business First podcast is hosted and produced by Sonia Aline. Associate producer, Ariel Mancebo. Executive producer, Ken Johnson. Find the Business First podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. And on social at business_first_podcast on IG. The Business First podcast is a Mean Old Line Media production.